Okay, insane raid today by Deesnuttes from Exodias. But before getting into the raid, we're going to use a different format today, and I'm going to play the raid first so you can have a bit of a look at the overall raid, and then I'm going to dive into the raid strategy in the second half of the vid. So enjoy the attack and the music. Okay, what we have here is a really common sort of base style right now. In fact, look, most of the bases going around are very, very similar, and maybe that's the reason we're seeing so many bases cracked. But it's hard to see what bases can survive with the current attack defense balance at the moment. The more raids you see, you just wonder, what base can hold if someone's got any time to think through how to attack it. Anyway, let's have a look at this base style. So a couple of things about the base. So it's got very spread perimeter buildings. I'm personally a fan of pulling all those buildings in because, if you've got spread buildings, what can happen is the queen can pick off some free buildings. And if the queen's picking off free buildings, it means that the golems aren't suffering damage. They can drop those golems a bit later, and as a result of that, the hybrid will last a bit longer. So I'm a huge fan of pulling them in, but that's sort of one thing about the base. The second thing about the base is the usual common style. So you've got all the whiz towers, air defences, mortars, and most of the archer towers in this outer layer. And in the internal layer, they've got both infernos, the 3 bows, and all of the Teslas. So if you remember the replay from earlier with the music, you had Tesla here, Tesla here, Tesla here, and a Tesla here. So that's pretty much the common style right now, and what people are doing is they're stacking in all the high hit point buildings in the middle to slow down the hybrid in terms of the queen getting through to one of the infernos. So if you look here, they've got 2 gold stalls and a bow protecting that inferno, and the idea here is the queen takes 5 shots to get that gold stall, 5 shots to get that gold stall, and I think it's 8 for the bow. So there is 18 shots times 0.75 seconds, so around about 14 seconds before it actually gets access to the inferno, and the idea is the hybrid takes more damage and maybe the golems don't last as long. So now the issue with this base is, just have a look. You've seen the raids. What he does is he looks along the side and says, if I can take out the damage per second early, so if I take out here, and take out the damage along here, and I can even use the king to sort of take out these defences, although it doesn't really take out the damage per second onto the hybrid in the raid. If I can take out 100, 200, 300, 350 DPS, then my golems are going to last, and if I also kill the cannon and the whiz tower, then all if I'm in this pocket with the queen, really I'm just under fire from probably this bow and this inferno. Depending, looking at the ranging of those expos here, I don't think you're probably going to hit the queen, and so I can get myself in a situation where my hybrid is just taking 120 damage per second. Once the bow goes down, just 40 damage per second. I've got plenty of time to knock out those buildings because I'm almost suffering no damage. So the strategy here is to take out all of the DPS along this side, and then I've got all the time in the world to work my way through to the Inferno, and that's where this base falls over. And look, lots of bases are exposed to this strategy because you can because all the DPS along the sides is fairly accessible. If you take it out, you can get yourself in a situation where the queen's got tons of time to take down the middle. Okay, now let's look at this hybrid. So this hybrid is interesting the way he goes about this, but just want to work through some of the details of the plan. So he drops his queen about here, and you look at how he's thought through what the queen's going to do, because what he wants to do, he wants the queen to work through here and take out the DPS in this pocket, and then work her way into here and work her way towards the Inferno. So what he does is he places the queen here, and so and you can tell what the queen's going to hit. You say what's closest building, and so the queen will take the builder's hut, the mine, then it'll move in a bit, probably take the hut here, then the mortar or the whiz tower, and then go to the arch tower. Now the important thing here is what would be next is it would take the this building here, and then it would take the camp, and that would pull the queen wide. So what he does, because he wants the queen to go this way, is he drops two wizards here. When the golem's down here taking fire from the archer tower, and the wizards take out these two buildings, and that pushes the queen this way. And it's one of these things of the queen sometimes seems to do silly things. The queen doesn't. You've just got to push the queen in the right direction. And so what he's done is he's dropped two wizards here, so they work their way through here, and that way the queen won't head down this way. When this pocket's clear, the queen will head this way when this pocket's open. So let's go into the hybrid and watch that. So he's dropped his queen here, takes out this building, then this building. Just wanted to stop just for a second here. You can see, so he's dropped the golem to protect the queen here. But at this stage, the hybrid, so it's already got a couple of free buildings with no damage, and the hybrid's currently only suffering 200 damage per second. Now I'm going to release a vid, one of the Exodias vids on what I call the 400 rule. Check that out, because when I'm talking about the DPS that the hybrid is suffering, I think the key number is averaging 400 DPS. That video explains why, but you see here that the hybrid's only suffering 200 damage per second. That's not enough. The hybrid will last too long and probably succeed if that's the sort of damage the defense is putting out. But he's only had to drop one golem because he can pick up 3 buildings because they're spread, and so he got the start. He got away for no cost, and then at this stage it's only 200 DPS. And only as the queen, just before the queen comes in, you want to drop his second golem to protect his queen from the archer tower. And so at this stage, the hybrid's probably up to 350 DPS. Still not enough. Oh, actually, maybe the bow's coming in here, so it might have just popped 400. But you've got to average 400 probably to defend your hybrid. So you can see he's dropped the 2 wizards down here. They come through, clear out the camp. The queen hits the archer tower, but because the camp's gone, the queen comes through here. Now, what he does, the other thing I want to look at. Now he drops the king, and the king's going to work his way along here and work his way into this pocket and clear out the defences here, leaving this pocket with very little DPS on it. Now, just notice how careful he is. He drops the king this side of the spell factory, not this side. If he dropped it this side, the king goes walkabout down this way. Just got to be careful with those little details. Drop the heroes the right side of the building, so then it will path the right way through, and the king will work its way along here. Queen will take out this building, and then that will force the king into this pocket. So you can see queen's taking out the defences, and just have a look here. So at this point, you've got the golems just suffering 80 points of damage from the Inferno, and this bow's working. So you've got 120 points of damage at this point of the hybrid. This cannon's not activated yet. So it just goes to show that when you've got to be averaging 400 by taking out all this DPS around here, he's brought it down to 120. That's nowhere near enough. in terms of defense, and this is going to become more and more common. People are going to drop the queen at a point where they'll take out all the DPS, and that will extend the life of the hybrid, and therefore the hybrid's got a lot more chance of succeeding. So now the king's working its way around the base. CC comes out, waits till the witch comes in, drops it, and zap. You can see the queen's working her way through. The queen didn't get distracted by the CC. He's annihilated the whole CC with the zap. King's working its way through here, and you can see the queen's starting to hit this, but the queen, only under 40 DPS, not really suffering there, taking out the bow. So now the damage is getting really low here, but the queen's got all the time in the world to work her way through to the Inferno. The queen drops the wall, and he'll just use the ability, and that'll take down the queen and the Inferno. You can see the king also cleared out this pocket. A really great hybrid there, and just a great example of how to use to place your heroes to take out all the DPS early, and therefore make sure your hybrid can last much, much longer. Now I'm going to be taking a very close look at zaps on raids for a bit, and the reason why is, look, I think the zap and the placement of the zap and how successful it is one of the most important, most critical determinants of whether your hybrid succeeds or fails. Now, I did some reading on ClashwithPredator about this, and it said the first bolt lands where you're placed and the rest are random. That's not what I'm seeing when I'm looking at replays, and so what we're going to do is in each of the replays we're going to look at the zap very closely and look at what people are doing. And what I'm finding is that the raids that 3, the zap takes out the entire CC, and that way your queen's not distracted, your king's not distracted, and your CC doesn't do too much damage. So it's absolutely critical that you place your zap in a way that takes out the entire CC. So let's look at this zap really closely. So what's happening here? It's troops coming in, and you'll see that he places the zap about here to the right, almost to the right of the troops, and all the bolts come to the left, and you can see that's wiped out the entire CC. So and so it seems you'll see a lot of replays like this where it seems they'll either place it to the right or to the left of all the troops once they're bunched, and then all the bolts seem to land on the troop side. That seems to be the way that AI is working, and suddenly you've got the whole CC, and so therefore the queen can focus on cleaning out the base. If that CC wasn't wiped, the queen's hitting, skeletons and all sorts of other, and minions and all sorts of other things. So it's absolutely critical in terms of getting your hybrid to work to nail your zap. And so in this replay, they've just dropped to the right, and you can see it's wiped the whole CC. Okay, now the hybrid. Now this is the killer combination right now. Have a look at the army composition before the hybrid drop. So we've got 3 lavas, and there's a lava and a loon in the CC. So 4 lavas, 15 balloons, 16 in the CC. So effectively, that's the killer combination with 2 rage and a freeze right now, and you get often a couple of just spare troops, 2 gobs and a barb for sort of clean up around the outside. If you can keep your hybrid light, you can have 4 lavas for the Lavaloon stage. That way, if you've got 3 ADs, you typically can clear the base. And what it does, it takes a lot of pressure off your hybrid, because all you've got to do in your hybrid is you've got to take out Inferno, 1 AD and the queen. Much easier. And this seems pretty consistent on the Lavaloon stage. So what you'll see is they'll drop lavas from 2 different angles on the first AD, with loons really tight on the lavas, because you don't want the lavas getting well ahead of the loons, suffering a lot of damage. You want the loons to come through and clear out the defences as quickly as possible, so the lavas don't take too much damage. And you'll find that they'll drop balloons in 2s, because if you've only got 16 balloons, you want to get them spread around the base. So they'll drop sort of 4 bunches of 2s here, 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 and here. And then they'll drop 4 bunches of 2s around here. And with the lavas, as they come around, you don't need to drop sort of balloons around this side, because the lavas will draw the fires that come through here, and the rest of the balloons will come through and work their way through the base. So let's have a look at that. So we'll start the lava drop now. So the lava's coming in here. Oops, can't quite see that on the screen. And you can see 4 bunches of balloons there. And you'll find that they'll use the rages pretty early, because again, you want to keep the loons coming through the base, destroying the defences as fast as possible. That way your larvas suffer less fire and get their way around the base. Now, important part of this drop, so he's dropped the 4 bunches there. You'll see that when this AD goes down, the larvas are going to rush off over here. That's going to expose these 4 balloons. So one of the critical things about this raid, because these 4 balloons are going to pass through the bow and these 2 Teslas, it might have been smarter to add an extra balloon here, but you need to be careful that when you're doing a loon drop, where are your loons going to be exposed, and make sure you've got enough to complete that section of the raid. So here, he only had 4 balloons. They managed to clear out these 2 with 1 left. It might have been safer to add 1 through there, but you need to be careful about where they're exposed in terms of the raid. So you can see lava drop here, another lava over here, and you can see he's used his rages very early. He'll drop his freeze, captures 3 defences with the freeze, and you can see that the loons pass through the base. So the main things there is you can see it looks like he actually sort of spread out his loons using even 1s in stages into a sort of a 10-point drop or something like that. He used his rage very early, very careful with his freeze placement to catch the maximum number of buildings as possible, and awesome just wiping the base. You can see 4 larvas, plenty of balloons left. Because the balloons were tight on the larvas, enough minions, and he clears the base very easy. Very good raid there from Deesnuttes. I think the most spectacular part of that raid, in fact there's lots of spectacular parts, the most spectacular part for me was just the way he destroyed all the DPS earlier, and that's going to be a strategy we're going to see lots and lots of, 2 golems, 4 larvas, wiping bases.